Good afternoon and welcome. Thank you for everyone for attending our Showcasing Jackson County event this afternoon. We've worked very hard in preparation to present to you today our very first virtual community event, and we hope you enjoy. We would love to hear your feedback throughout the program, so please use the chat box as needed. Outlined here, next slide, is what you can expect from today's event. Midway through the program, we will be inviting local leaders to participate in a community update session. We will be asking one leader from each of the communities who wish to participate to discuss what is going on in your part of the county, challenges you face, and what we can expect to see from your community in the future. Next slide. Some may ask, what is Jackson Growth Alliance? JGA is the economic development body created to represent and encourage economic development in Jackson County through the attraction, growth, and retention of job opportunities. Next slide. Our organization is supported by permanent and community members from public, private, and not-for-profit sectors who have a vested interest in the genuine success of Jackson County and in turn, Southern Illinois. Each year, we invite and encourage new members to join our efforts. Next slide. And from these members, board seats become available. This is our board leadership today and the organizations to which they represent. Many you will hear from this next hour. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Joni Beth Bailey. I'm an attorney in Murfreesboro. I've been a member of the Jackson Growth Alliance board for just over a year. And what a year it was. We had a few live meetings and then we had to switch to remote meetings. You can probably relate to that in your communities. JGA is a 501c6 not-for-profit corporation. It was chartered in 2009. I had to look up what a 501c6 was. It's business leagues like chambers of commerce, real estate boards, boards of trade, economic development groups, and professional football leagues. I'm not really sure how those match up, but that's what the IRS page says. So with the Super Bowl behind us, we have something in common with professional football leagues. JGA funding comes primarily from membership dues. The 6 permanent members do the heavy lifting. City of Murfreesboro, Egyptian Electric, Cooperative Association, Jackson County Board, Southern Illinois Airport Authority, Southern Illinois Healthcare, and the Southern Illinois University of Carbondale. Thank you. Past accomplishments. The big tangible projects that we can point to happened a few years ago. One was the IESE Grow facility near the airport. They recently did a major expansion in 2020. All told, that facility has a taxable value in 2019 of over $1.5 million, and then over a $5.5 million expansion last year. J&L Robinson built the facility. Local labor built it. They were the contractors' subs, and about 103 people work there. If you count the sales tax revenue and the payroll tax revenue, this is a major economic engine in the community. Fager McGee built the Gavilon Global AG Holdings office near Cora. That's another attraction, retention, expansion project that JGA had a role in. JGA in the past was an incentive to move the armory from the Oakland Street Carbondale location to the airport area. JGA has also supported and promoted the Jackson CEO program, which is an exciting mentorship opportunity for local business leaders and entrepreneurs to talk to high school students and hone their business skills. It's a wonderful program and it's supported by many in the community. Gary Schaefer will talk later about expansion at the airport. And I want to loop back to just explain that the members of this board are from both civic and business sectors and banking and the utilities. So on the board, We have a cross-section of many of the facets of economic life in Jackson County. And it's been a wonderful experience, and community members can get involved and they can ultimately become board members. We'll talk more about that later. But the central purpose of JGA behind the scenes is to get the conversation started and bring all of the resources to the table when there is an attraction, retention, expansion, or funding or grant proposal at work. There are many players in a community like this. JGA doesn't have hands in every project going on, but we hope to be a more visible part of the community, and we thank you for joining us today. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Mitchell. I'm the Economic Development Director for the City of Carbondale, and I'd also like to welcome you all here. We've got a great attendance today for our inaugural event that we hope to make this on a regularly occurring event. You know, it's no secret that the pandemic has really presented some unique challenges to each of us personally, but also to our communities and our local businesses. JGA, or Jackson Growth Alliance, is a nonprofit organization that works to retain, expand, create, and recruit businesses and job opportunities for the communities of Jackson County, all communities. JGA has used this decrease in activity during the pandemic over the past year to regroup, reorganize, and rethink how the organization can better serve the county and each of the communities within it. Some of the folks who joined us today, and I may miss a few, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. The list I've got is just a few minutes old, but I think we've got some folks who just registered recently. But we've got a number of elected officials here today, representing the city of Carbondale, representing the city of Murfreesboro, the village of Makanda, the village of DeSoto, village of Campbell Hill, the village of, the city of Ava, and the village of Gorham, as well as Paul Jacobs, state representative for district, the 115th district. Welcome to each and every one of you. Our hope today, as I mentioned, is to start a conversation with you and how we can better serve all the communities in Jackson County. We also have a number of great organizations represented today. We've got Southern Illinois Healthcare, Greater Egypt Regional Planning Commission, Egyptian Electric Cooperative, Carbondale Main Street, First Bank and Trust of Murfreesboro, IESO, Centerstone, the Carbondale Chamber, Murfreesboro Chamber, Country Financial out of Murfreesboro, and Walnut Street Properties. We want to welcome each one of you today, and we hope that you'll take some time at the end of the program to ask questions, make comments, and provide perhaps some updates for your individual communities. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Gary Schaefer. Gary is the manager of the Southern Illinois Airport. He's been with the organization and a resident of the county for 42 years. Gary?
Thank you, Steve. As most of you know, the airport is one of the economic engines for Jackson County. And the slides that I prepared after this, I'll give you some idea of what we currently have underway. So if we could begin with the first slide. I'll let you read those items for yourself, but a couple of things to point out here is that the airport is one of the larger airports within the state of Illinois. It has a large physical campus. We're currently in our 70th operating year at the airport. Despite what it might appear, I've not been there all 70 years. The airport community in Illinois consists of about 85 public airports. And as you can see, we're 5th busiest. The airports that precede us are largely in the Chicago metropolitan area and one in the St. Louis metropolitan area. O'Hare's at the top of that list, and we gave up trying to catch them years ago. There are 26 buildings on the campus. As you can see, we're currently adding 5 more buildings outlined in red on this diagram. We'll talk more about those. And there's two building expansions that are occurring as well. To the employee number that you'll see there, after this year is finished, we'll have an additional 150 employees that'll be working at the airport, for nearly 500 people to come to work every day out of the facility. Next slide, please. A little about what's happening right now. We have 10 projects underway, as you can see, about 25 million in total investment. 11 million of that has been obtained by grant funding from federal agencies, and about 10 million of that has been provided through private investment. The balance of that are funds that the airport will be providing, and we continue to peck away at additional grant opportunities to decrease that local contribution. Next slide, please. Here's what's currently underway. This is the main campus at the airport. There are a number of buildings outside of this area, but this is the focus of the airport where most of the aviation activity occurs. Each of the buildings that's in a color other than blue is currently under development, and associated with those buildings are the employment numbers that will be occurring inside those facilities. So for example, building number 1 is the new terminal building. There'll be 29 new jobs that'll come to that facility in calendar 21, and that'll be located in a restaurant and brewery. The yellow building is the air ambulance provider for the region. They have 17 employees currently on the field. The building marked number 7 will have 8 more employees coming to the field. Building 20 is a new hangar. There'll be 63 jobs coming to that. Building 21 will have 40 new jobs that'll come to that building. We'll talk a little more about what's in those. Next slide, please. So this is hangars 9, 10, and 11. Hangar number 9 exists. Hangar 10 and 11 are currently under construction. These buildings are designed to accommodate large airplanes. Hangar number 10, and I'll give you a sense of what that means. Hangar number 10 is designed to accommodate regional jets that are pictured there. Hangar number 11 is designed to accommodate mainline jets. And 10 will be occupied by a company called Crucial Aviation, 11 occupied by Galaxy Aviation. Both new companies to the state of Illinois, both bringing new jobs to the region, mostly highly paid technical jobs. Next slide, please. Code 1 Aviation works on airplanes of this type. These are vintage military jets. They'll do rebuilds and rehabilitations. They currently have 8 employees. They'll be adding 8 more employees. This Carbondale Murfreesboro is one of 3 locations they have in the country. The first being Rockford, the second Carbondale Murfreesboro, and the third one in Dothan, Alabama. And they work almost exclusively in the military, vintage military jet arena. If you're curious, that's an airplane that'll do about 600 knots. Next slide, please. So Galaxy Aviation is going to be working on what we would call mainline jets. These will be 100 passenger or greater jets, up to and including the Boeing 757 pictured in the bottom right. For reference, anyone who might have attended or seen the President Trump arrival into Southern Illinois, he was traveling on the Boeing 757 aircraft, for reference. Most of us that fly mainline jets do so on the 737 and 320 that you see there. Galaxy Aviation will be doing what's called light maintenance or A and B checks on these. In some ways, it's like the aviation version of a Valvoline stop to get your oil checked and pressure in your tires, but it's a little more than that. They'll be doing A and B checks on airplanes of this size. Next slide, please. Crucial Aviation, currently in Columbus, Ohio, and St. Louis, Missouri, will be bringing their heavy work to the airports. And they'll be providing that on what we would call regional jets. These are jets that range in seat capacity from about 40 up to 100 to 120. And they're flown by the regional jet industry throughout the world. They'll be doing what's called heavy maintenance. So these will be full teardowns and rebuilds on airplanes of this size. And that work occurs over a period of 3 to 6 weeks. And they anticipate hiring 63 new people. Next slide, please. We're also building a new terminal building, presently underway. Here's some images of what that'll look like. It's designed to appear like an old airplane hangar, an old vintage hangar. And inside that building, the majority tenant will be a new restaurant and brewery that'll be coming to the field. And I never give this presentation without mentioning the fact that once this is completed, we will be the only airport in the country that brews beer and grows pot. Next slide, please. So we have a solar farm that just finished up. This is a 14-acre development. It was completed and energized last Friday, just about the time that the sun disappeared. This is a Chicago-based company that received the award to be located in this area. They spent about $3.5 million building this facility. And now that it's energized, the power flows through Egyptian Electric and into the SIPC network, or back to the grid, if you will. Next slide, please. IESO, as was mentioned earlier, is the medical marijuana and recreational marijuana grower in the region. One of the growers in the region. They're located inside that yellow box on the east side of the airfield. They occupy a 10-acre site. They have 85,000 square feet under roof right now, with about 105 current jobs. They're looking for 22 more people at the moment, and they're already considering phase 3 expansion of this facility while they watch the market primarily for recreational marijuana continue to increase. So there is consideration of expanding this facility another time, and that would add another 100,000 square feet to that facility and many more jobs. Next slide, please. So here's in total what's underway in the main campus environment, the new restaurant and brewery, the Air Methods, which is the air ambulance provider, Code One Aviation, new to the region will be Crucial and Galaxy Aviation, IESO, located on the east side, Yates Awning, which is a fabric awning company. Some of you might remember the old Hakes Awning Company years ago. Yates bought the Hakes Awning Company, and they have a successful little enterprise underway. And we received a grant to expand their facility so that they can grow even further. And then you can see where the solar farm occupies space on the airport. The airport has a considerable amount of development property. One of our main objectives right now is to fill out that space. In green, we'll go things that are not aviation related. In blue would be the aviation related development. However, the blue area on the east side of the field could accommodate non-aviation activities as well. I believe that's it for me. So back to you, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you, Gary. I'm always impressed when I hear about what's going on at the airport. And Gary, your leadership and that of the Southern Illinois Aviation Authority is very much appreciated. We do appreciate it. It's a strong driver of the economy in Jackson County. It's my pleasure now to introduce Lynn Anderson Lindberg. Lynn is the Executive Director of the SIU Research Park and Office of Innovation and Economic Development. Lynn?
Thanks, Steve. A lot's going on at SIU, and it was really hard to narrow this down. So I've really focused on the business and economic development sides of what's going on, not only here at the Research Park, but across campus. If you haven't had a chance to visit the research park, we're located on the southeast edge of campus. We've got 3 buildings and 43 acres. Next slide. We have several tenants in these buildings, and I'd like to highlight a couple tenants and several programs that are taking place right now. You may have heard of Dippin' Dots. Well, we have 40 Below Joe, founded by the Dippin' Dots owner and original founder, Kurt Jones. The new product is a beaded frozen coffee that you can eat or you can drink. And all production takes place here at the research park. Another tenant, Levylock, has patents on several panels, and these building panels are used for a variety of activities right now, including levee remediation and also resilient building structures. Recently, Fager McGee has started working with Levylock on one of these projects. So we're not just businesses, we also have programs that serve businesses and potential business owners. One of these is a technology entrepreneurship program called Innovation. We receive funding from the Small Business Administration and have had 53 people complete this technology entrepreneurship program. They took part in 3 different programs and will have a 4th one running this fall, maybe summer. The idea is to look at technology and entrepreneurship together from concept all the way to commercialization. So this is really exciting for us because these people have a concept, maybe even have the technology invented, and want to look at the possibilities of locating a business here in Southern Illinois. Another activity that is in development is our new Extended Reality Laboratory, or XR Lab. And here we'll have 6 workstations where the participants can learn how to actually program virtual reality and all other sorts of extended reality to make training modules for businesses, for classroom use, basically allowing a blending of training with this hands-on reality software. Next slide, please. The foundation of what we do at the Research Park is our Small Business Development Center. We've been around since 1985 and really are pleased to be here in Southern Illinois for so long, working with so many businesses across not only Jackson County, but the region. 2020 was hard on everybody, and especially small business people, as you can't pick up the paper or listen to the TV without hearing how restaurants, especially bars, any type of venue is struggling. We worked with 262 clients in Jackson County this last year. And to put that in perspective, in a normal year, we work with 300 or so throughout the 17 to 20 county Southern Illinois region. So quite a huge increase for us. We had almost 700 clients across the region, and our staffing didn't go up. So we had some very busy people working very hard to help small businesses access funding so that they could stay in business or at least ease the pain a little bit. And you can see that in Jackson County alone, we had over $12 million in loans and or investments. Next slide, please. At the Research Park, we always work with partners. One of these organizations is SI Now, a brand new entity that has come about through Southern Illinois Healthcare's leadership, working with us and many other business and economic developers, not just in Jackson County, but in the southern 17 counties. Chancellor Montemagno had recognized how important business leaders are to the region and had a roundtable that was meeting before he passed away. SI Healthcare took over with Bridge to the Future and has grown this into SI Now. SI Now is just coming on board. Its vision is for Southern Illinois to become thriving and economically diverse with a growing population, labor force, income tax base, and to elevate our already high quality of life and place. So this regional economic development organization in Southern Illinois, these 17 counties, is all about us. Next slide. Can't talk about what's happening at SIU without looking at enrollment. Fall 2020, we had 11,366 students. We were celebrating that we were up 31% in new students. Spring, we have dropped slightly to 10,378 students, but our retention for freshmen is up 36%. Some of this can be looked at because our focus is on retention and regional high school and community college students coming here to Southern Illinois. There is a program called Saluki Commitment you might have heard about recently. If your family income is under $63,575 annually, you can look at the Saluki Commitment for 8 semesters of no cost attendance at SIU. And if you transfer from a community college, up to 4 semesters. The trends for fall 2021 are very promising. And again, it's that focus on retaining our current students and looking toward the region for our new students. Next slide. To tie in what's going on at the airport, SIU Aviation Technologies partnered with Mantricon out of Marion and received $1.2 million from the Delta Regional Authority for a jobs training program. This is in aviation maintenance technology, one of the very strong aviation and automotive programs based out at the Southern Illinois Airport. All those hangars that Gary was showing you will have companies, they need employees, we produce students. Well, the pandemic has shown us that you need to have a lot of hands-on training, but it's sometimes hard to get when you can't be in close contact with individuals. So this virtual reality training will be incorporated into the curriculum, and the students will feel like they're getting that hands-on training, and they will also have a chance to interact with their instructors. The future activities of this program, it's really focused on students who have great degrees and great skills being able to stay in Southern Illinois and maybe work at the Southern Illinois Airport or other regional airports for their degree. Next slide. Another challenge that SIU has worked on with Southern Illinois Healthcare is the shortage of nursing. We have students who graduate from programs in the region and they quickly disappear to other locations. So the Bachelor of Science in Nursing program was approved in May of 2020. The first students have started. It's capped at 48 so that we can build that program up, but there are dozens more who are in other nursing courses on campus. The great thing is that there's 3 tracks. So you can apply for the traditional 4-year on-campus degree program. There's 100% online for an RN to a BSN, Bachelor of Science in Nursing. And there's also an accelerated BSN that's offered on campus. All of this ties back to having more healthcare providers for us here in Southern Illinois. Next slide. Another area where there is definite economic impact is Saluki athletics. From going to football games and watching baseball games to the athletes themselves coming into town from other universities, and in many cases, parents and families coming in to watch their students compete. SIU will be hosting 4 Missouri Valley Championships this spring, each of which brings quite a few people to the region. They spend their money here, they spend the night, they have a great time, and they are people that contribute to our tourism dollars. Next slide. That was a very, very high level view of some of the activities taking place on campus. If you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me. Dr. Mira Kamaraju is our provost, and she can also share information about SIU with you. Thank you very much. Back to you, Steve.
Thank you, Lynn. If you all haven't gathered it by now, SIU is not only a great partner and a great driver of the economy in Jackson County and Southern Illinois, but also has been a great supporter of JGA, and we do appreciate that. Next, I'd like to invite, or I should say introduce again, Brooke Guthman and Amy Mills. Brooke's a Murfreesboro native. She's a civil engineering graduate at SIU. She works for, she's been with Egyptian Electric Cooperative for the last 15 years. In the last 5, she's been the member services manager. She's the JGA board chair, and I don't think she's mentioned this, but she's been the acting JGA executive director now for probably what seems like 50 years, but it's probably only been, what, 10 months, maybe 12 months. And also, I'd like to introduce Amy Mills. Amy is the owner of 17th Street Barbecue, which is going to be celebrating its 36 years in business very soon. Amy is also an author, a television personality, and a branding, marketing, and PR pro. Brooke, Amy, it's all yours.
Hello. Hi. We are so delighted to be here to talk about our Revitalize 62966 program. This is our process of reverse engineering growth in Murfreesboro. We want to instill a deep sense of civic pride and help our town return to a vibrant, thriving place to live and work, encouraging and enticing people to open businesses, renovate existing properties, and move to town. Next slide, please. Our town used to be a thriving, bustling place to live and work. It was very possible to earn a nice middle-class living by working in the local factories or other businesses. The downtown was filled with shops, and you could buy anything you needed in town. When the factories closed, many shops then closed, and the storefronts sat empty. People slowly stopped taking care of their homes and properties, causing blight. Next slide. Brooke was fortunate to hear Zach Mannheimer of McClure Engineering at a conference, and she was so moved. His message resonated so deeply with her that she worked with Jackson Growth Alliance to bring Zach to town so that we could hear about the exciting opportunities and programs that McClure helped develop in other towns. We filled the room, as you can see, with a variety of local, civic, and business stakeholders. Next slide. We decided to engage McClure's services to help us develop a placemaking plan. The project was funded by private donations and the city of Murfreesboro. Placemaking is the process of reverse engineering growth, creating a place where people want to live and work, thus attracting new businesses and growth. McClure led us through a series of visioning sessions where we identified the things that make Murfreesboro unique. Next slide. And we took inventory of our strengths and weaknesses. Next slide. This work culminated in an action plan outlined on our website, Revitalize 62966. Here are a few highlights of the programs on which we're embarking. The housing initiative will provide move-in ready 3-bedroom homes by removing blighted homes, create a revolving loan fund and other incentives, and a defined historic residential bungalow district. Our goal is to expand this initiative to a county level to encourage rebuilding or remodeling homes with the goal of increasing homeowner occupancy, raising property levels, and thereby spreading the tax base. Murfreesboro Main Street has worked for several years on downtown revitalization, and they're also overseeing the establishment of a downtown historic district. New businesses continue to open downtown, and there are plans to incentivize further revitalization. Business assistance was also identified as a huge need, and there's an area on the platform to communicate to potential investors the action items necessary in opening a business, and also giving information about the TIF and enterprise zone programs. A shared streets program will help us drastically improve downtown. In 2020, a grant from Greater Egypt Regional Planning and SIMPO helped us complete a $60,000 planning study and submit a $1.8 million ITEP grant, application grant, for streetscape improvement. The plan will increase walkability, aesthetically improve gutters, curbs, sidewalks, and add decorative street lighting. It will also create flexible parking spaces, which are much needed. Next slide. The public art plan highlights existing artists, music, and theater already in town with plans to expand on all of these entities. To date, our art committee has raised $55,000 and submitted a grant application for a $150,000 federal Our Town matching grant. This grant would include multiple wall murals, a statue, and a community art trail. The result of one grant helped create this first mural that you can see at the corner of 13th Street and Walnut. Next slide, please. Mike Mills has long believed in investing in Murfreesboro and Southern Illinois. While we love our local guests, we couldn't operate at our current levels without tourism. 50% of our guests come from out of town, out of state, or out of country. Our barbecue contest, which will celebrate, I guess it's our 33rd year since we have skipped one this year, brings thousands of people to town each year who spend their money and help increase commerce. We also have a series of on-cue classes started in 2009. To date, over 1,400 people from 45 states and 16 countries have come to Murfreesboro to help strengthen an existing operation, or we've helped incubate new barbecue restaurants across the globe. All of this is possible because of the amazing press we receive at 17th Street. And that press shines a spotlight not only on 17th Street, but all of Southern Illinois, encouraging people to come and visit our beautiful area. Next slide. Our most recent project is the Factory at 17th Street, a $2.5 million restoration of a building at 1616 Walnut Street. The back 2/3 of this building is a co-packing facility where we will produce 17th Street barbecue sauces, as well as co-pack for other people, bringing more commerce to town. The front third of the building will be a coffee breakfast shop restaurant. We'll have a coffee drive-through. Half of this front part will be a gourmet retail area with gifts, grab-and-go food, and gourmet food items. There will also be an outdoor patio space. Our goal is to diversify our revenue stream, provide more jobs in our town, and bring more people to Murfreesboro to live, work, and play. Brooke?
Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay. My husband and I's revitalization story began in 2018, with first hearing a presenter from a national cooperative conference, a friend asking us to pursue ownership of 3 buildings downtown, and last, a huge change in our perspectives about our community, Murfreesboro, which we call home. From the influence of these collective thoughts quickly became the establishment of Walnut Street Properties, the birth of Revitalize 62966, and our irrevocable commitment to join the bandwagon that was already in motion to do our part to make our town a better place. Many thought we were crazy and irresponsible to take such a risk, but to us, this passion project was not a risk, but a calling. Our first project in 2019, next slide, please, I'm sorry, was renovating a 2-bedroom vacant apartment into a more upscale Airbnb. Until COVID struck the world, this space would be booked most weekends. Next slide. Our next project at 1318 Walnut Street was a bit more involved, as this space, a former drugstore, had since become a neglected storage unit with no running water or ventilation, termites, and a bad roof. Next slide, please. Through inquiring minds and by chance, an out-of-town man considering a brick and mortar storefront himself from out of town fell in love with the space and the vision, later becoming Cold-Blooded Coffee and Roastery, which opened in 2020. Next slide. My husband's most recent renovation, equal in difficulty, was at 1306 Walnut Street. This space was completed a few weeks ago in preparation for a new salon, Faction 93, expected to open next month. Next slide. Our project, including Amy's, are only a few of the many efforts downtown that encompass the Revitalize movement. We have deliberately adopted a unified commitment of positivity to keep things moving in the right direction, encouraging progress and gaining community buy-in. First, and most importantly, we have to make a conscious decision to take pride in our communities, a change in mindset, actively participate, promote positive dialogue, no longer tolerating or participating in negative talk about our towns or Southern Illinois in general. It's distracting, not productive, and can only lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Lead by example. Don't expect someone to do something you're not willing to do yourself. This thought challenged me most recently by bringing my husband and I to the conclusion that we have intentions in the commitment to send our 3 children to SIU Carbondale when the time comes. Next slide, please. Here's an article from a Memphis magazine highlighting attributes in multiple Jackson County areas: Scratch Brewery, our Airbnb, and 17th Street Barbecue. We have to commit to not be competitive or territorial. Our success as a community hinges on the success of the county. If SIU sees success, so will Murfreesboro and the rest of the county, and vice versa. If other Jackson County communities thrive, Carbondale will thrive. We can each be our best when all else is at their best. We need each other and should collaborate and encourage one another. One of my buildings has a coffee shop. Amy's will soon too, but we will celebrate and support each other's business and efforts. Utilize your gifts to encourage others to do the same. Our gifts will most likely be different than someone else's. For us, we were able to purchase some buildings and do some work. For others, it may be a gift of time, money, or a need that they see in the community to act upon. I was reading an article the other day that no amount of money we throw at our communities will fix our problems, because we don't have a money problem, we have an apathy problem. Next slide. Share your passion in hopes to encourage other people to do the same. Next slide, please. Keep talking about it, stay focused, and celebrate all the good news. Next slide. Believe it will happen because passion is contagious. Next slide. And we've hoped we've inspired you to ask yourself these questions. And ultimately, the question is, how can you use your passions and your resources to make a difference in your community? Thank you.
Thank you, Amy and Brooke. It's amazing what grassroots and collaboration will do for a community. And it's a great model, I think, for a lot of other communities in Jackson County. Thank you again. I'd like to now introduce, next slide, please. I'd like to now introduce Brad Fager. Brad is the Vice President of Estimating with Fager McGee Commercial Construction. He's also the JGA Secretary Treasurer and past board chair. Brad?
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I want to give you a little bit of heads up on what to expect in the future from JGA. JGA focuses on several different agendas every year. We're always continuing to push new ideas and businesses towards economic growth in the county. JGA is going to continue to help new development projects like we've helped with in the past, projects like IESO and Gavilan that are so invaluable to the area with the jobs and tax revenue. They need that local representation of who to contact and where to go. When it came to Gavilan, a lot of it was going up and meeting with the people in that area to explain what Gavilan would be doing and how that would benefit the county, and just talking to the people. It came a lot better coming from a local representative to push that, and that's what JGA was there for. We want to help, we're also going to help the existing business through this pandemic any way we can. So many of them are struggling and they're going to need all help they can get. So we're going to do anything to pass along information to all those businesses. Our first goal for the near future is to follow through with the tasks set by Revitalize 62966. That was a very big program that they set up, and there's a lot of tasks to go through it. JGA wants to make sure that the follow through is there and continues. We then want to expand these efforts and lessons learned to the smaller communities in the county. We will implement our strategic plan next in the future, which was developed from meeting with prominent business leaders in the county and addressing the needs identified by those leaders in the business community. The plan starts with reducing local barriers to the economic growth. Then next, we want to make in-person visits to local businesses and find ways to strengthen and grow our existing businesses. We don't always have to just bring in the same competition. We want to make our big goal is to make the ones already here and invested as successful as possible. Skilled workforce has been an ongoing need in our county for all the businesses. We will have to continue joining that local efforts and improving that workforce. And you've seen how some of that's already happening with the nursing program for SIH, and then the students at SIU at the aviation program, and we're bringing in businesses. All those interns and permanent jobs are perfect to keep them here. We want to increase the population, focusing on the age of 18 to 34. There's an opportunity created now with the pandemic. People are working from home. They want to now have a rural setting instead of being in the middle of the big cities. We can promote our outdoor strengths like Kincaid Lake and being at the doorstep of the Shawnee National Forest. Lastly, we'll always promote entrepreneurial activity and encourage innovation. A lot of these objectives with our strategic plan continually need improvement, and they are hard to see the results. But regardless, the county needs someone to push the agendas, and JGA is there for that reason. JGA will also continue to find these landmark projects for the county like Ravalli 62966 to show some quicker results. We all want quicker results, and we'll continue to push the near and long-term agendas. And that is our goals and for the future and what we're pushing towards. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad, for that update about what we're looking at doing in the very near future. Next slide, please. It's now my pleasure to introduce Kathy Blythe. Kathy is the System Director of Strategic Services at Southern Illinois Healthcare, as well as a board member of JGA. Kathy?
Thanks, Steve. Hello, everybody. I want to give a quick update on our Executive Director position, which was vacated last year. Over the summer, we put together a hiring committee to clearly define the roles and expectations of the position and to identify the skills and attributes we were looking for. This person will act as the economic development liaison for all of Jackson County, working with local, regional, and state partnerships, as well as focusing on building strong relationships with the business community to assist in expansion, retention, and new business development. In early fall, the position was posted through multiple channels, and we received numerous applicants and interest. We completed several interviews, but ultimately we were unable to move forward with our finalists. Given the timing with the increase of COVID cases in our region, we made the decision to pause the efforts and to revisit the search in early 2021. So we will be looking at opening that position up again soon. First, making sure that the timing is appropriate, and then begin to communicate the need. So if anybody out there knows of anyone that might be interested in the position, or if you have a candidate that you'd like to recommend, I would encourage you to reach out to us at director@jacksonbiz.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathy. Now it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Kathy Guterslaw. Kathy is Account Executive with Spectrum Reach and Jackson Growth Alliance's Vice Chair. Kathy? I'm sorry, Kathy, I think you're on mute.
Oh, there I am. So anyway, I'd like to talk about how to become and how to join JGA. So we have two classifications of memberships, one of our permanent members and one of our community. So to become a community member, you are representative of your organization, business, or city. And you're appointed for a one-year term. You can also be reappointed for an additional year. And community members must be in good standing with financial obligations. And members can select a sponsorship level that best fits your organization. Okay, next slide. Okay, so board seats. And so what we have is if you're interested to become a community member. Well, we have a membership fee that would come from your business, city, or organization, and you can see it's over on the right-hand side of your screen, there are various tier levels. And, you know, we're a not-for-profit that we're funded by membership donations, the enterprise zone application fees, and all in-kind services from private companies. So that is something that we do look for in a community member, is either a type of tier level or some type of a in-kind service. And how to become a member? Well, you fill out an application and you can submit it to the director at jacksonbiz.org, or you can also talk to any one of us who are on the board. We'd be happy to answer any questions. As far as expectations, we do meet once a month and we hold annual meetings, and growth in business and business retention are what we're all about. So we are looking for new members that want to help us achieve those goals. And we there are 3 community board member seats open now, and we'd like to have them filled in the next 2 months. And we're hoping that at least one of those seats is filled from one of our smaller communities in Jackson County. And we're looking forward to hearing if you have any questions or if you are interested in joining the board. You can see from what we've been talking that we are moving Jackson County forward. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, as you've no doubt heard, JGA has a lot going on. We've been using our time during sort of this COVID slowdown to refocus our energies, to kind of repurpose our organization and take a close look at what we wanted to accomplish and who we wanted to be going forward. And I think it's safe to say that one of the things we all agree on is that we really would like, and I'd say we really need, additional input from the broader Jackson County area. And if you serve as in some capacity for a community that's not currently represented on the board, we really do invite you to participate in JGA. We have a lot of work ahead of us, quite frankly, and we need everyone's help to make that happen. Now would be opportunity, I think, to hear from you. If you're willing, we would love to hear a little bit about what's going on with your community. As you can see on the screen here, so what's going on in your community, what struggles you're facing, what do you have, what are you looking forward to in the future? This is also a great time to ask any questions that you might have, or to make any comments. So if you're going to bear with me just a minute. If you would like to, I'm not sure just how technical we all are and how we're used to using technology for meetings, but on the bottom of your screen, you'll see a raise hand icon, and you'll also see a little icon that says chat. Please feel free to type in a chat or to raise your hand if you would like to make a comment. But I think I've heard from a couple of our elected officials who would like to get a little bit of update on their communities. If you could unmute Jeff Doherty for me, please. I think Jeff has a few things to say about what's going on in Carbondale. Jeff is a former executive director of JGA, and he's also on the Carbondale City Council.
Thank you, Steve. Am I on?
Yes, you are.
Oh, terrific. First of all, let me say that I'm really excited about this update from Jackson Growth Alliance. I'm excited that it's re-energized, and the commitment that the board members are making to this organization, because it plays a very important role throughout Jackson County in promoting economic development. A lot of people hesitate to invest in economic development because they don't see those immediate returns. And I think that the update at the Southern Illinois Airport that Gary Schaefer provided is an excellent example of investing in the long term and seeing the results, not necessarily right away, but eventually. And JGA played an important role in being a co-recipient of a grant from EDA to develop the development plan for the Southern Illinois Airport. And a lot of what is happening there came out of that development plan. So, and this has been something probably in the last 10 years that's occurred, and we're seeing the fruits of those efforts come about. So for those who hesitate to invest in economic development because they don't see the immediate returns. It does take time and it does take continued investment. So congratulations to all on working on that. Also, it's exciting to see what's going on in Murfreesboro and JGA's efforts on the long term with that. In terms of Carbondale, we, like everyone, is struggling with dealing with the pandemic. On the business front, our small businesses obviously are struggling. The city has assisted many of those businesses with receiving financial assistance through grants from the state of Illinois, and Steve Mitchell's worked very hard with those businesses to get financial assistance. But on the other hand, we're affected by retailers on the national level that are struggling and in bankruptcy and closing stores throughout the country. And unfortunately, we're seeing some of that happen in Carbondale. The closing of Macy's, the closing of JCPenney, the announced closing of Best Buy. These are major retailers that are struggling throughout the country, and hopefully they will be able to survive nationwide, but that's in doubt as well. So we are struggling with looking at loss of sales tax because we rely a lot on sales tax in this community. But on the other hand, we have to look at it as opportunities, because now we have retail space that can come in, and if those businesses that were there before were struggling, we can hopefully bring in businesses that can thrive in those spaces. So we look at it as an opportunity. Some of the things that are happening transportation-wise, we have transportation projects that are still ongoing, providing employment for our local contractors and their workers. Oakland Avenue, Roundabout, Chautauqua and McClafferty. We have a major project in our downtown area that's in the planning stages. Design is getting ready to start with a $17 million regional transportation facility. It'll replace the existing Amtrak station and not only provide a new facility for rail passengers, but also provide a center, an intermodal transportation facility involving regional and local bus transit services, and will really help facilitate transportation throughout our region for those who may not have the traditional transportation of a vehicle or otherwise. And so those who utilize regional bus services and transits can come into that facility, change to other regional buses, and continue on. So it's going to be a good regional development for everyone involved, and we're excited about that. Continuing on construction, we have plans in the current budget to start our phase 3 downtown streetscape project, and this will basically continue north of Main Street to around the town square. This is a project that many of you, if you've traveled through Carbondale and South Illinois Avenue, this starts near Mill Street and continues north. We're looking at phase 3, and this is a development that probably in the next 18 months we'll see completed. So we're very excited about that. And what that does is it supports those businesses in the downtown area. It attracts people, makes it more attractive, more accessible to downtown Carbondale, and therefore helping the local businesses that are there. That's some of the things that are going on, but in terms of another regional project, Route 13 has been expanded to 6 lanes from Giant City Road to Reed Station Road, and this is something that is one of the phases that eventually continue on to John A. Logan College, the 6 lanes of Route 13. Along with that is a off-road bicycle trail that will connect Carbondale to eventually John A. Logan College. looking back the other way to the west, Murfreesboro and Carbondale have worked together to put in some infrastructure that will eventually allow the connection of a bikeway between Carbondale and Murfreesboro. Carbondale has submitted an application for a state grant to basically run a bikeway from Old 13 and New 13, New Era Road to the west towards Murfreesboro. And this type of project is going to be done in segments, but eventually we will have that bikeway that will connect the two communities of Carbondale and Murfreesboro. I'm excited about that. That's about all I have, Steve. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff, for that great update. I also see that Mayor Will Stevens with the City of Murfreesboro has his hand raised. Can you please unmute Mayor Stevens, please?
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yes, we can.
I want to thank everyone who's put this together today, and I want to thank all of the people who have spoken to this point. They all play a very vital role in the collaboration that helps make economic development bloom in Jackson County and throughout the area. A couple of quick notes on things that have happened in Murfreesboro that haven't been mentioned yet on the call. Last year, a new asphalt plant was opened. Samron Midwest Contracting opened it up, and it has served to be a nice development in our industrial park. In fact, that segues nicely into the fact that I'm looking at the development of a new industrial park, as we don't have any more space left in the old industrial park after the Samron development. A lot of folks have seen the hotel that is being built at the corner of 13 and 127, and it is slated to open in mid-April. And then in the future this year, I'm very hopeful and continue to work with and collaborate with a group called New Yin Solar Alliance to develop a data center, which would be a $40 million development investment in the middle of town with a attached solar array. We hope we can make that happen. But the main thing that I want to say here is just to highlight two things that have already been said. And one is that I think it's very important that we all make a commitment to engaging in a positive conversation about our communities, about Jackson County, about SIU, about Carbondale, because we have to be those influencers that make this region grow, not just through our actions, but also through our words, because the two together can be a pretty powerful thing. And I think that's why Jackson Growth Alliance pulling us all together here today can be a really strong force, because we've got a lot of very talented people on this call today. And so I think it's important that we do that, that we remain positive and we accentuate those things that are going on in our conversations with one another. And secondarily, I know there are several mayors and village presidents on the call who I am not familiar with, who I may not have met. My email is mayor@murfreesboro.com. My cell phone is 618-534-1308. That's 618-534-1308. Again, my email is mayor@murfreesboro.com. I want to be a resource in connection and collaboration with JGA, so that if you have a question or you've seen or heard something about a grant or whatever, and you're curious, well, how can we better engage? How can we get these things done? I won't have all the answers, but maybe I can help connect you to somebody who does. I find that as mayor, my best economic tool is just being a conduit to get you to the people who have the expertise, because I'm basically a jack of all trades and a master of none. So I've learned a lot today, and I'm thankful for this gathering. That's all I have to share today, and I'll turn it back over to Steve.
Thank you, Mayor Stevens. Appreciate that. It looks like Jan Phillips has her hand raised. Can you unmute Jan's microphone, please? I think she's still muted.
Jan, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes. Hello, this is Jan Phillips.
Oh, we can hear you, Jan. Yeah, thank you.
County Board Representative, District 1. Now, I watched the presentation that Murfreesboro had, and I've got a lot of small towns up here in my district. And I would ask both the Jackson County Growth Alliance and anybody else that could reach out to us, meet with me or meet with the mayor. That would be greatly appreciated. This is my first term on the county board, so I'm a layperson at this. But we're really struggling up here with what we've been through. I know all towns are struggling, but any help would be greatly appreciated from the county board or anybody else that would want to sit down and meet with us.
Thank you, Jan. We appreciate that. I can say that someone from Jackson Growth Alliance will be reaching out to you so we can continue that conversation.
All right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And I see that Jamie Green has her hand raised. Can you unmute Jamie for me, please? Jamie, you should be ready to go.
Hey, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just wanted to say this was just a very enlightening presentation. I have learned so much. I was born and raised in Murfreesboro and continue to reside here. And I'm just proud of everybody that put this together. I've loved all of it. And as a business owner, president of Murfreesboro Main Street, I think a lot of our communities in Southern Illinois, I've kind of looked at this time in the past year at the glass half full, but really, or I'm sorry, glass half empty. But really, in a way, when you hear this progress that's been happening in our small communities, we have to kind of look at it as a glass half full, because we've had some blessings in some of the growth that we've been having. And just Murfreesboro Main Street, we have a new project unveiling this week for another revitalization. And we are working on a historic district downtown to help businesses and buildings and hopefully offer some tax incentive and some grants for them to repair their buildings. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. I thought this was very great. I'm a huge team player and I've worked with several people that are here today. And I just am excited to continue to do so, because I think, small town USA can make big steps and go forward. And I think that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm just excited to have attended today. And I think it was all absolutely worth it. So thank you to everybody.
Well, thank you for your comments, Jamie. I really do appreciate that. Would anybody else like to say anything? I don't think I see any other hands raised, and I don't think I see any other comments in the chat box. So our next and final slide, next slide, please. Last but not least, we have Tomiko Mueller. Tomiko is a local realtor. She is a Jackson County board member and also a JGA board member. Tomiko?
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to say thank you so much to all those in attendance today and joining us. They're like also to thank and say a special thank you to all of our speakers and all those who participated in the community update segment. Please let us know in the chat your comments or questions. Also, please email us at director@jacksonbiz.org with any additional comments or questions. We are looking forward to future quarterly meetings as such of these types of events in the future. We truly hope you enjoyed today and can join us again in the near future. Lastly, expect a follow-up email from us. We would love your feedback and also your membership. And thank you so much again for joining us to showcase Jackson